everyone, and happy third Thursday. Today's event has closed captioning available in English, and to turn on the closed captioning, please press the CC icon along the bottom of your toolbar. A huge thank you to Emma, the creator and owner of The Urban Botanist, for leading us through that spirit calming and soul soothing houseplant experience. Emma is a naturalist at heart and always looking for ways to engage with nature and share her love and passion for plants with others. Emma is based out of Kanata, and we are thrilled to announce that she's going to be joining the college community once again on Tuesday, April 6th at 2 p.m. for a 1-hour plant care session. So please join us on April 6th. Take a breath, relax, and pause with plants. The Plant 101 session is open to all Algonquin College students, employees, and alumni. Advanced registration is required, and the link will be added to the chat now. So my name is Michelle, and I coordinate events for Algonquin College. Welcome back to those who have previously attended a Third Thursday event, and welcome to those who are tuning in to Third Thursday for the first time. For those of you who don't know, Third Thursday is a cross-college collaboration. On the third Thursday of every month, we bring in local innovators, speakers, entrepreneurs, and creatives to you, so we can learn from one another. Recognizing that we're in the midst of a very challenging time, we have refocused Third Thursday to feature neighborhoods across Ottawa to highlight independently owned businesses. So this month, we explored Kanata and chose 3 incredible businesses to join us today. We know there are so many incredible businesses in Canada and across the city. So later on, we are going to turn the floor over to you, our attendees, to share a business that you might want to highlight with the group. Maybe it's your own business, a friend, or a family side hustle. We'll invite you to unmute yourself, and you'll have the floor for a few seconds or 60 seconds to participate in the Community Soapbox. So before we get started, we're going to play a video that shares a little bit more about the background on Third Thursday and our featured panel members. So Ryan, may you please roll the clip? Hey Algonquin College, we're launching
the 3rd season of Third Thursday.
What's Third Thursday?
Third Thursdays are conversations
that spark ideas and create community.
Every month, we invite local experts and innovators
to share stories that inspire and empower listeners.
This year, in our virtual edition, we challenge you
to tune in on the third Thursday of every month.
In a new location in your home.
We challenge you to change your space into a place.
And we'll bring inspiring innovators from inspiring places to you, virtually.
Let's explore this new reality together.
Students, employees, alumni, and community partners.
Forge meaningful connections while learning from each other.
The Third Thursday community is story-driven,
curious, and collaborative.
And we're not afraid of perspective shifts
or pushing the envelope.
We skip the small talk
and dig deep into topics that matter.
We're here to fuel dreams through dialogue
and to turn passion into purpose.
Come and be a part of the story.
Algonquin College is bringing you Third Thursday Explore. This month, we're exploring Kanata. We met 3 inspiring Kanata-based business owners. Joanne Mutter is the co-owner of Jojo CoCo, a chocolatier and tasting bar that first opened their doors in 2012. Natalie Peterman is the owner of Kanata's Partymart. Natalie has opened Partymart for 8 years, but the store has been in operation since 1979. And Elizabeth Kilbert, owner of the Unrefined Olive. The Unrefined Olive is an olive oil and balsamic tasting bar with 2 locations in the city. One thing these 3 business owners have in common is their passion for female entrepreneurship. How fitting with International Women's Day this month. To set the stage for Third Thursday, we asked our featured panel members to share one piece of advice that they would give to the younger version of themselves.
I would say think long-term, make thoughtful decisions, be okay with the decisions that you've made. You're going to make mistakes, it's okay. Learn from them and move on.
That's pretty easy for me. It's been something that I've had in my mind the whole time in this wonderful business of mine is stay true to yourself and always follow your gut. It doesn't ever lead you wrong.
Other than the real estate and stock tips, I think it would be to travel more, live in the moment, be more open, pursue the things that really make you happy and that you're passionate about, and to keep a little bit better of a journal.
We are thrilled to hear about their experiences as female business owners and learn more about their unique businesses. Let's explore Kanata virtually.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, so now we would like to ask everyone to please open up the chat along the bottom of your screen. And we're going to give everyone a question for you to answer, but don't press send until everyone's had a chance to type out their answer to the question, and then we're all going to press send at the same time. So also, I just want to mention as a little tip, when you're typing out in the chat box, if you switch the two, if there's a drop down and you click panelists and attendees, that way everyone can see your answer versus just the panel members. So the question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to the younger version of yourself? So it is one piece of advice that you would give to the younger version of yourself. So you can just type it out in the chat, and I'll give everyone a few seconds, and then I'll count us down from 3, and then we'll all press send at the same time. So one piece of advice. Okay, so I'm going to count down from 3, and then we'll press send. So 3, 2, 1, go. Work harder, be ambitious, mistakes happen. Awesome, these are great tips. Definitely recommend, just go for it. I love that. Recommend scrolling through these. Thank you so much for participating, everyone, and feel free to continue to use the chat throughout the panel discussion today and connect with the college community. If you have a question for one of our panel members, please feel free to submit it at any time. It's an open floor, open discussion, and you can submit your question to our panel member by clicking the Q&A tab along the bottom of your screen. And our moderator, Bonnie Chan, will be reading it on your behalf. So now I would like to turn the virtual stage over to my colleague, Bonnie, who will be moderating the session and introducing today's panelists.
Hi everyone, Bonnie here from the college's events team. Super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to introduce our panel today. So without further ado, I'll be introducing our panel. We have Joanne from Jojo CoCo. Joanne and her husband Jay opened Jojo CoCo Chocolate together in March 2012. They decided to open in Kanata because they live there and love the area. They chose chocolate because, well, it's chocolate. In opening a chocolate store, Joanne was able to combine her years of retail experience with a passion for chocolate. Next, we have Natalie from Partymart. For those of you who don't know Partymart, it's locally owned and family-oriented since 1979. And Partymart has the knowledge and expertise to give you offerings for a successful party. Partymart is everything party. They have rentals, they have disposables, they have balloons, they have round year-end themes that you can definitely find whatever you're looking for. They have it all. And we're so pleased to welcome Partymart business owner Natalie. And we also have Elizabeth from the Unrefined Olive. A little bit about Elizabeth, the culmination of Elizabeth's passion for the environment, food, and travel has directed her education, her life experience, and work history. Her core values of sustainability and her work ethic has resulted in her leaving her pension and dental plan to set up a business and really immerse herself in olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and locally specialty food products. Elizabeth launched her business, the Unrefined Olive, in Ottawa in 2012, and it has since grown into 2 storefront locations in the Glebe and Kanata, and as well as an active online store. So thank you so much to our panel for joining us today. We feel really lucky to have 3 inspiring business owners, and we look forward to hearing about their experiences as female business owners and hear their tips for anyone who might be interested in entrepreneurship, and also to hear a little bit more about the Kanata community and also giving back. As Michelle mentioned, this is an open discussion, but if you have any questions for me or for the panel, feel free to submit them using the Q&A tab, and I'll definitely see your question there. And I thought I'd begin the discussion by asking our panel members about female entrepreneurship and leadership. And I thought it was fitting to start with this, being earlier this month, it was International Women's Day. We had asked our community, what does female entrepreneurship and leadership mean to them? And we got some amazing responses. So I thought that I would also ask the three of you what that means to you. So I see Elizabeth has unmuted herself there. So if it's okay to begin with you, Elizabeth, what does female entrepreneurship and leadership mean to you?
I'd have known that. Mute, no. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. Thank you for holding this event. I think to me, female leadership and entrepreneurship, it means future thinking. It means empathy. It means long-term planning. It means humility. I think it's very fulsome in its approach and very inclusive as well.
That's great, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. I love some of those keywords that you use there. And I'm just going across the screen. Natalie, did you have any thoughts on what female entrepreneurship and leadership means to you?
Sure. I think I will echo everything that Elizabeth just said. Humility is a massive word to use. Being humble, true to yourself, being inspiring, encouraging other women, developing lifelong friendships in that circle of business women is just so rewarding. It really is. And I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg said it best, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And more so in this last year with these lockdowns and, you know, sitting on some of the Zoom meetings with our local politicians, I have learned a great deal of what it is to be in the business world that really I wasn't interested in before. So just being involved and never being afraid to step up.
I love that, Natalie. And if I could also point out the word that you use, friendship, was awesome too, because for everyone that's tuning in, I've actually touched base with our panel today, and the friendship that all of you have with each other is incredible as well. So it's great to see that not only are you business owners within Kanata, but there's a friendship there as well between all of you. And same question to you, Joanne. What does female entrepreneur empowerment and leadership mean to you?
I think it's an interesting question. Thank you for asking it, because it actually makes us think about what our perspective is as women as we navigate through the business world. I've never felt any different in how I behave in regards to being a person and a female and a mom, in how I would manage my business and my team and my network. So I think there's a lot of parallels between who we are as people and who we are as business owners. And the network that women are able to create is actually quite incredible. It's very supportive, very collaborative, and it's easy. It makes it easier that we behave that way. And so I think that being amongst a really strong group of women as well is you always know that you've got somebody that you can go to for support and go to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joanne. And the next question that I'd like to ask the panel is if you could speak about your journey, not just as a female entrepreneur, but just as a business owner in general, and any challenges that you've faced, whether it's in Canada or also outside of the city as well, just in terms of, you know, your journey and the challenges. If going back to Elizabeth to kind of kick off the discussion, if that's a great place to start.
Sure. I think some of the challenges, you know, as Joanne said, I don't feel any different how I conduct myself. I am strong in myself. My first words, my first sentence, my mom likes to tell me was me do myself. So, you know, to be very true to oneself. I think some of the challenges are still that are out there are we still have to fit into institutions that still run themselves on a hierarchy and still run themselves in very defined, molded ways of conduct. And so one of the challenges is definitely securing finances. A lot of female entrepreneurs find that when they go for that first grant or loan or propose, you know, a business plan to a traditional financial institution, we're asked to have husbands who may or may not be present co-sign, or to have somebody else be your financial backup. So that's certainly a challenge, is in securing finance, fitting into those, you know, as I said, those hierarchical positions. I faced the same thing when I was in very, you know, science-based fields that were dominated and led in very traditional ways. So I carried that with me. I worked for the government for 10 years. So, you know, I'm not scared of bureaucratic challenges and things that pose themselves in that capacity. I think the other thing too is, you know, some of the ways I've overcome challenges is to inform myself and to learn and to research and to know as much as possible about my industry, to make myself as financially literate as possible, so that I have, the ability to back myself up with knowledge, and also to gain business acumen along the way, as well as some accolades. So business sometimes is about positioning, and you can be true to yourself and do it gently, but sometimes acumen and accolades go a long way to help you in that initial positioning.
That's great, Elizabeth. And you spoke on some great themes there that I'm definitely going to circle back to after hearing from Natalie and Joanne. So Natalie, were there any challenges that you experienced as well through your journey?
Well, I was just reading some of those little answers that were posted about your original question, and somebody said take a gap year. And that's what led me to my journey, actually. I finished high school, really had no clue what I wanted to do. Back in my day, we had grade 13, so I am aging myself, but I didn't know. I was already working for Partymart. Actually, it was called Mart back then. And I was a student. I challenged myself to work full time, and that just sort of started rolling into this journey of mine. And sometimes I call it a fairy tale because it feels that way. It is a situation where I was working full time, then I became into a management position, went on to become a buyer, had a couple of wonderful daughters along the way, and ended up being more and more involved in the business. And the business, Partymart, was and still is a family-run business. The original owners lived in Orleans, and she was one of my ultimate role models. And again, businesswoman in a time where it would have been a little bit more difficult, I would imagine. But the biggest thing she taught me was be accountable. Just always be accountable to your trade, be accountable to your staff, and have your voice heard. If you have something to say it. And then that journey brought me to purchasing the company 8 years ago, actually 10 years ago. It will be 10 years this September. So I have worked there since I am 15. It is the only job I've ever had, and it is the absolute joy of my day. And part of it is because of the type of business that I'm in the sense that we're always celebrating something. And even a celebration that is releasing, let's say, biodegradable, I might add, white balloons into the air to celebrate a lost person, it's still a celebration of life. And that's what we're offering. And it has just been one of my greatest joys. My two children are obviously my joys, but it is really truly what I enjoy doing. So as far as challenges goes, I work in an industry that really there's not very many upset people that walk through my doors. Challenges would have been more, developing those relationships early on and sort of being heard and being taken seriously. Traveling trade shows with a lot of my male companions. Sometimes it would be like, oh, and is this your wife or is this your girlfriend? And I'm like, no, I'm a business owner. I have 3 stores, 3 locations. So again, standing up without sounding rude would be a solid advice.
Thanks, Natalie. And I definitely can hear your passion for your industry and your business. So I love that. And Joanne, is there any challenges that you've experienced through your journey? And for those of you that haven't noticed, Joanne, I believe, is tuning in from her store. So she's actually live from her store here.
Yes, we are. So every now and then I may put my mask on, but right now there's nobody here. So my journey has been interesting in that I think I didn't lead it. It kind of led me. I finished high school and then university, and I had been working all the time in retail to pay my way through. And I got an offer, a management position when I finished university when I was working for the Bay, and I decided I would stay there. There weren't a lot of jobs. We were not in a good place economically as a country. And so I just followed that. And I found that in retail, there was lots of opportunity because nobody really made a career in retail. You worked it until you could find your real job, was kind of the mentality. And so I was able to kind of move through. Also, I think, especially then, even though in some of the higher positions there were more men, it was a woman's world in retail. I had a lot of female peers, and so we were able to work well together. And I just always just kind of put my head down and learned as I went and worked hard and developed this love for being in a beautifully merchandised area. So I took that with me to Club Monaco, where I learned tons and tons about fashion and clothing and merchandising. And then I went to IKEA and I learned tons about international business and working with all these different creative people. And I don't really think that I felt that I ever encountered anything that I couldn't handle. Not to say that I didn't encounter some shitty things, but it didn't mean that I was going to let it, like, it wasn't going to bowl me over. I was kind of pretty okay. And I've always had great support. My husband has always been there. We work well together. It's funny, we just reflected not that long ago how, you know, we actually laughed because we said, look how amazing our plan has turned out. And we really didn't have a plan until we decided, okay, we're getting there on our own merit, and here we are, and it's time for us to do something on our own. So that's what led us here.
That's amazing. And I love how you spoke about support and your support system. We're definitely going to go back to that. And I'd like to go back a little bit, just starting off with Elizabeth, what you said about one of your challenges was, you know, for example, securing, you know, the finances to really kickstart your business. And do you have any tips or advice, or if someone is in your shoes currently experiencing something similar, how do you kind of rise above that challenge, or really just push yourself forward to, you know, overcome something like that, like finances, not having the business acumen to really just put your foot forward to begin your journey?
Yeah, I think there are lots of tools and resources out there, like Invest Ottawa, and then the Chartered Accountants Association of Canada. They brought forward a lot of their women who do seminars specifically for women in business and you know, starting up in business, so you can increase your financial literacy. So at least it's like going to a mechanic with a car. If you just say it's kind of going rickety bangety boom, like you're leaving yourself open potentially to having a whole lot of work done that maybe you don't need. I think for me too, you know, part of it is drawing upon all of the diverse experience you've had in life and not being afraid to jump from job to job, to sector, and have a fortitude of careers, not look at something that it necessarily has to be your one singular career path. If you know that, that's fantastic. But for me, you know, I graduated, I went into international development studies, I went into marine biology. I worked in several different countries, and, you know, I worked in natural history museums and as a scuba diver. So all of that accumulated knowledge and life experience you bring forward. And at the end of the day, it's, if you can relate to someone, you know, in retail, if you can relate to somebody, if you can relate to that person who is going to be looking at signing and approving that loan for you, if you can relate to people and have a diversity of experience that allows you to do that and have that confidence and have that, as we said, acumen and built knowledge, then that is really, really going to go a long way. And just having that fortitude and standing your ground, believing in yourself and driving yourself forward with your passion, that's always going to speak volumes as well. Knowing the rules, knowing how to get around them, that's a really good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And Natalie, I'd just like to kind of start the conversation on just support system and the team and what that kind of looks like for you, because I know all of you are great leaders, but as we all know, we can't kind of do these things on our own. We have a great support system and a great team. What does that look like for you, Natalie?
My team is amazing, and you're right, you can be the best leader, but if you do not have a solid team underneath you, you will not always push forward and succeed. So my success, my company's success, has always been based on the fact that my staff believe in what we're doing. They enjoy their jobs as well. I have 3 locations, 2 managers in each of those locations. I have 3 managers in total, I'm sorry. 2 of which, though, have been with me for 22 years. And in the retail world, that's pretty amazing. You know, retail, let's face it, it's not the highest paid job out there. There are benefits to some levels of, you know, depending on where you are in the company, but it is really just about the love of connecting with people. And that's what I think the 3 of us share, is that passion of, as Elizabeth just spoke, even just being interested in somebody else's travels or their history. And we are so blessed with that experience in our store, because everybody that comes in has a story, and they're there to celebrate, like I said before, something, or they're there to experience something. And it is a bit of that experience that we're selling. So it's not just, hi, how are you? What can we help you with? It's, you know, I love your scarf, or it's that communication, that connection we try to make with our customers, because we love being involved in their everyday lives. And it's a mini soap opera every day. It's just never boring, and things change all the time. And that's the best part, I think, of our job. It's just not mundane. And nothing wrong with it, but if I could not work in a cubicle by myself day in, day out reading papers, it's not who I am. And I'm not saying that's not a great profession if that's what you choose, but if you have the ability and the luxury of being able to work very hard and pursue what you really want to do, and for me, that was being with people, and being in this job has just been very fulfilling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. And Joanne, I know you had mentioned previously part of your support system was your husband. Is there a greater team that supports your business, or what does your support system and your team look like for you?
Well, we have a very small team. It's myself and Rebecca and Margie, and they work part-time in the store. And then I use my family a lot. I pay them in chocolate, so they're happy. And you know, my husband will do deliveries. My daughter has come in and done some merchandising. My daughter-in-law actually did all the painting in our store and continues to do really interesting artwork for us. I have previous business connections who have always been there to coach me through an element that I might not be completely clear on. When I was at IKEA as a store manager, I had 7 senior managers reporting to me, and each one of them had a specialty. And I didn't realize until I left how much I relied on their specialties to help me through HR and all the elements of paying people and finance and all the elements that go into what's the bottom line, and even the people who are doing our logistics. How are we getting this product from A to B, and how much does it cost? So those people were still there for me after I left, and I leaned on them heavily because they had that very specialized experience that they gave me for free. Because when you're starting out as a business, you know, you're looking to do the right thing with your money. And there's so many elements where you could be spending your money that sometimes it's nice just to be able to knock on someone's door and get some free advice. And so that, to me, is a large part of a support system. And, you know, maybe this is the time to also throw in the BIA, because it's a huge support system. We connect as a business community. I've made great business and friends. Like Elizabeth is my best friend in the mall. And, you know, and then Lori, who's the executive director, is awesome at working with. So, you know, that's another network that ties us together as business owners in one community. So I think you can tap into so much support when you need some help. And as I said earlier, I never blink to ask another woman in business to help me out. So.
That's awesome, Joanne. Thank you so much. And Elizabeth, and I'll start the discussion here with you. I was just wondering, how has the business shifted since the pandemic? And are there any lessons learned from the pandemic? And how has really, you know, the community in Canada been affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, I think, you know, if I never hear the word pivot in my life again, I'll be really, really, really pleased. I think, you know, there were a lot of misconceptions that everyone was just like, oh my gosh, I've got to pivot. So it's just like, all of a sudden, I've got to start selling swaths of toilet paper in my olive oil store and offering pet sitting services. You know, to adapt to this again, first of all, I think we all had to kind of internalize, because we were in reactive mode. We were in a survivalistic instinct almost. So you had to be really self-reliant. So I think as long as your business was, for me, built on my interests, right? My passions, food, travel, you had to keep in touch and reflect on what was happening in your industry. So from the very practical perspective of, where does olive oil come from, and where do my bottles come from? I.e., what is my supply chain? Where are the goods coming from that I will continuously have to sell? A real switch and a change to online when we were used to in-store retail. We were an experiential business where you came in and you sipped olive oil and you talked about how to put those things together, either for a food, you know, for somebody who is endeared to food and loves food, or somebody who's looking for gifting. So those really long-term interactions when we were all not sure how to even conduct ourselves and if we were supposed to touch anything or breathe or be out in public, it was a huge amount of challenge. So in-store experiential to online, which we think of as just being 100% cold and transactional and all about the cash. But it did make you really look at your business model, because you had to throw revenues out the window. They were going to be completely different. So then you had to focus on your business and look at, okay, so revenues are going to change. What do I actually need to make this business work? What do I need to bring back my wonderful team and to reemploy them so they have security? What do I need to make the customers feel safe to get a curbside or to step into the store? And then how do we engage, whether by email, because you placed your 10th online order and I can slip a little note or something in that when you come to pick it up. So how to maintain and retain that personalized experience, because with our business, we were so fortunate. We had been in business 8 years. So we built this wonderful community of clientele. So they trusted us and wanted our beautiful products. So beautiful products, beautiful service, beautiful community, who came online because they knew what they were going to receive, and then to continuously engage, because that's what everyone's missing. So when they step inside for that order, to have those conversations and updates with them. So it was retaining, maintaining our values, ourselves, how we conducted ourselves as a business, and to retain that throughout.
That's great. And I definitely want to come back later on to just talking about online and your online store. Natalie, I was also curious just with your business, because Partymart does help people celebrate with their, you know, in-person parties and such. How did the pandemic affect your business, and what was the shift with your team?
It's a mirror mimic to Elizabeth's statement, so I won't re-energize all of that. But same thing, we never had an online presence. We believed in good old-fashioned customer service, that interaction, that human connection, that core value of who we were. So to pivot, and I'm with you, Elizabeth, I hate that word, but to pivot, we fast-tracked a beautiful online system, website, and being in the community of Kanata for 21 years and being in business for 42 years, that definitely hand in hand with the online experience that so many people were already using and doing, it benefited us for sure. It continues to. So as a sort of a reward to our customers for standing by us, our pivot was to make sure that the customer service when we did reopen was even better than what it was before. It was that commitment of saying, you know, you had our backs. It's a year today that we closed our stores, and to think that you're right, revenues are not the same. They are still not the same, but we're still there, and you know, we are functioning for a store that basically sells, the other word I don't enjoy is non-essential. So for a store that sells non-essential items, there is not one item that you must buy in my store that is, you know, essential. But we've survived, and people have told us, and I would never want to coin this or you know, corner this on the market, but people have said that we are good for mental health. And I understand the importance and the severity of what mental health means. But when you have people come into your store saying, you know, can I just get a single balloon? And it was one of the stories that was shared with us. And, you know, this gentleman came to the store, he just asked for one balloon, but on a really, really long string. And it wasn't until he was leaving the store that, you know, we approached, and this is when we were in the smaller lockdown season, but we approached him, we said, we have to ask, you know, why the long string? He said, it's for my mother. She's in a nursing home on the 4th floor, and I want the balloon to be able to reach her. I, at the beginning stages of April, May, and June, almost cried every day because there was a story like that every day. So when you ask what was one of the biggest changes, well, obviously it was a shift to online, but one of the bigger changes that happened in my staff was the attention to people's stories, and knowing that everybody that walks in does have a story, and it's not always a happy birthday story or a wedding. Same thing, all the weddings that have been canceled, everything that, you know, has been so turned upside down. And we were supposed to go on a trip to Jamaica for my daughter's or my husband's 50th birthday, and now we're bringing the trip home, so we need luau supplies. Like all of those stories that we got to be involved in really has helped the pivot.
Yeah, definitely. And I love hearing stories like that, how, you know, sometimes you forget how something as simple as a balloon on a long string can just change someone's day. So
well, it is, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but you know, just people just picking up balloons, and just, you're never too old for balloons. It's the truth. And it just brings out, or flowers, it just brings that little joy into your home.
as you were telling that story, I was definitely thinking about who I could go and get a balloon for as well. So I'm definitely going to keep that in my mind. And Joanne, how has your business changed since the pandemic? Did you have a heavy online presence before, or has that really, you know, just changed your business model?
So we were lucky in so many ways. I'm almost afraid to say it out loud. We got a grant in November of 2019 in order to take our business online. We had a web page, but we weren't really selling from it. And we were up and ready to go at the beginning of February. So we had product there to sell. Our scramble was, we then hit March and lockdown, and that is the Easter season, as you can see it is right now, because there's eggs hanging from the tree. And I had bought all this product that you can't sell later. And so I just went into, like, first of all, I was in denial. I thought, well, this will only be 2 weeks. That's what they're telling us. It's only going to be 2 weeks. So, you know, take that out of the equation, we'll be fine. And then you kind of just go into survival mode. And so I photographed everything that we had for Easter. I put it on the website. The photos were nothing to be proud of, but they sold. And we offered free local delivery. So in my mind, gas was cheap, the store was closed, I could be anywhere at any time, there's no one on the roads. So I took product to my customers. And the same as what the other ladies have said, you know, being in business for 8 years, you know your customers, right? You know them by at least by face, many by first name, often like their kids and their family. And so now I was actually bringing chocolate to their front door instead of them coming through mine. And that was an amazing experience, because for the people who I couldn't connect with their first and last name on an online order, when I got to the door, I knew exactly who they were. And so we had, you know, distance conversations, and they assured me over and over and over again, they will eat more chocolate than is necessary in order to keep me open and running. And so to me, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I still have people coming in the door going, oh, we're so thankful that you made it through the year. And my answer is, well, I made it through the year because you were buying. So I think that, you know, again, we all really, really hate the word pivot. It's not so easy. You know, you hear in the news about businesses that don't have an online presence, like Natalie just said, and there's this immediate reaction, well, get online. Well, it's not that easy just to get online. It takes some planning and some time. And if you've never done it before as a business owner, it takes some figuring out. It adds a whole new element to your business. You don't just go online. So I was really, really happy that we were already there, because it took that madness step out of it for me. And Natalie, kudos to you for getting yourself up and running like that. Yeah, I know, a lot of hours, right? So I think that, you know, for us, we managed to survive in a different way, because we had those seasonal holidays that required chocolate. And I personally believe, and many of my customers do too, that we are an essential service and we should be named as one. So last March, when Ford announced that the Easter Bunny was an essential service, I'm like, that's me. Here we go. Now I can sell my chocolate and get it out to people and not feel like I'm breaking any rules. And then we had Mother's Day, and we brought, oh my God, Natalie, your stories with the balloon. I can't tell you how many boxes of truffles I delivered to seniors' homes for people who couldn't see their moms for Mother's Day. So yeah, I hear you. And it made me cry half the time. It's making me cry now. But yeah, so we've just been really fortunate, timing wise, customer wise, length of business wise, and the product that we sell.
I can
I'm also getting emotional.
I just want to interrupt for one quick second and just say, I think the key thing from all three of us, and I'm sure that there are hundreds more out there, is that we all, as much as we went into survival mode, we've all been able to jump on the keyword of opportunity, and not opportunity in a selfish, greedy way, opportunity in the sense of reconnecting with your community. And whether that be here, like I said, hearing those stories, getting those chocolates to the front door, you know, kids are kids. The Easter Bunny is real. I mean, those are real things. So it's been a wonderful opportunity in a really terrible scenario.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I almost teared up the first time we first had a conversation, and tearing up again the second time. I definitely hear the powerful word of community also just echoed throughout all of our conversation here. And I'd like to shift to that. I know we're running a little bit short on time here. And since we are exploring Kanata virtually right now, what does the Kanata community mean to you? I know that you've shared great stories and there's a great friendship here, but when it really comes down to it, what does that and I guess not just Kanata, Ottawa in general, what does that community mean to you? And I'll open it up here for anyone that wants to jump in first. Yes, Elizabeth.
Sure, I think that's where small business has always played a really big role. And we see those on those signs of support that, we're the ones that give the donations for, the school fundraisers. We're the ones that give the donations for the community sports teams. We're the ones who give the donations for CHEO and the Heart Institutes and the arts and festivals, etc. So that's something that we really believe in, or I really believe in, is that foundation. Like I say, our store is like half an area of education and engagement and just communication with people, and the other half is the store that has the product in it. So I think that small business, we've always been really inherent in communication, those conversations we have. And it's been, I remember during the holiday season, usually, it's frenetic, it's frantic, and our customers are saying to us, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you good? And this year it was complete tables turn. We were so calm and so cool. And we're like, how are you doing? How's everything going? Who are you seeing? What are your plans? And the stories we've heard of birth and death and loss and missing. We've had customers who come in to pick up their order and they've ended up staying for half an hour. And they're just like, you're the first person I've talked to in a week. There was one woman, we were the first person that she had seen and engaged with in 3 months because of her situation and where she was. So we are the foundation. And I think that retail has always been about that level of human engagement. And we continue to be there. And people are like, what are you doubling down on in business? And it's like compassion and time for the person who walks in and is in front of me.
That's awesome, Elizabeth. And I was so engaged in our discussion. We do have some questions actually in the Q&A box. So I do apologize for anyone that has submitted their question and hasn't seen it yet. Natalie, if I could kind of direct this first question to you. This question is, a lot of people consider retail work to be a lesser job. I've always thought of it as the best field school for future business owners. What have you learned in retail that you wouldn't have learned anywhere else?
Oh, that's a great question. Again, not coming from any, formal schooling background, I don't want to use the word I've learned. Gosh, that's a good empathy. I've learned to be humble. I've learned what it is to really work hard. Retail is not to be considered the bottom of it by any means. You know what? I'll try to keep my language to a minimum, but I remember the best story that I could tell is I was sitting on a plane because I travel a lot for work as well. We have a lot of trade shows, so it's afforded me the luxury of also seeing the world. And I remember being on a plane one time, leaving Ottawa, and you're always on the plane and you're kind of thinking, oh, do I know anybody? And you never know anybody on the plane. It doesn't make sense. But I remember this lady sitting next to me and you strike the conversation up and she said, oh, what do you do for a living? And I said, oh, I run party stores. I own party retail stores. And she said, oh, that must be so much fun. And I just wanted to shout out, it's a lot of effing work. That's what it is. It's a lot of effing work. And I was just kind of like, it is. It's so much fun. But it's just like any job, be accountable, do it to the best of your ability. And that can go to anything. If you want to be a garbage man, be the best garbage man you can be. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So I hope that answered it properly, but off the top of my head, that's the best I could do.
Yeah, no worries. And I love hearing all of your stories that, through your journey that you have experienced. Our next question here is just one of our attendees is just wondering, all of you moved your businesses online, and they're kind of just looking for more details for aspiring entrepreneurs. Like, how did you do that? Which, for example, online platforms did you start with, and what do you use now? Is there like a resource that you were just Googling, trying to find platforms kind of for an aspiring entrepreneur, kind of a quick, I know we're a little bit short on time, but like I don't want to say step by step, but like, did you just Google a platform and then start using it? Or was it, how did you kind of, get to where your online business is, where it currently is? Yeah, Joanne?
So my best advice is, if you don't know how to do this, get someone who does, because this is a very tricky thing to do. And especially if you need speed, you need to hire somebody. So I'm fortunate enough that my son works for Shopify and has been giving me a hard time since I opened that I don't have an online store. So he got me kind of up and running, and then I hired a web designer, and she has chose my template with me, created all the imaging, I write the content. So now we share a lot of the responsibility. But if you want to get up and running and you want to do it in a good way, in my opinion, because I'm totally not technical, I felt that I needed to reach out to my resources and get them to help me. And actually my web designer is somebody who just walked in the door one day as a customer and said, "Oh my God, I love this place. The product is so beautiful." And we got to talking, and I found out she designed websites. I'm like, okay, I need to hire you. So we just went that way. So
yeah, no, I love that, because it also just shows, you don't take the weight of the world on your shoulder. There are other options to like outsource, or, for example, your customer just walked in and you got a designer that way. Yeah, Elizabeth.
I was just going to add in, I always look for local solutions, local technological developments. We're very fortunate here in Ottawa to have a lot of resources. And as well, at the end of the day, remember your online platform is like the POS system that you have in your store. It's going to charge a certain percentage off of your sales. So you also have to pay attention, to the finances of things. And your store can transmit your values and your aesthetic and all of those things through the language, through your color choices. So it's very exciting, but it also has to be technologically relevant to who your customership is. Like, we have from 16 years old to 96, but I've got to make sure that my 96-year-old customer who jumped on back in March and April, because it was just me and I was 50% IMIT support, can understand how to navigate that technology. So I don't need the best and the brightest and the biggest. I need something that is very intuitive, because I have customers who call me and say, "So I'm on my computer, where's the internet?" And you got to be there and you got to walk it through, but they don't need to have something that they inherently mouse over. Like, so you've got to think about who your audience is, who your demographic is, and build that interface that's going to service them to the best of their needs.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, Natalie.
I still have people asking me if they have helium in their lungs. So I guess that's very similar then. If they bring home this balloon and blow it up, will it float? I'm like, no. That's a hard no.
Yeah. I think just to add on to what Elizabeth said a little bit in regards to your online presence versus your in-store experience, they must be as close to the same as possible. You have to show your product the same way that you do in store. You have to be able to write content that sounds like you. You have to present the way that you would present in the store. Absolutely. And so if that's a seamless execution for a 96-year-old, so be it. You need to make sure that you've got that happening.
I love that. We are quickly approaching on our hour. I wish that I could speak to all of you for another hour, but I know our time is quickly dwindling here. So on behalf of the AC Hub and the college community and the entire Third Thursday community. We want to thank all of our attendees for joining. I want to thank our fantastic panel for joining us. Check them out on Instagram. They have some great products, and I can't wait to check out their online stores as well. And thank you for everyone that shared today. We're all about storytelling, and we've definitely heard some great stories today. And with that, I'll pass it back to Michelle for our closing. And there's some fun things ahead. And as well, Joanne, Elizabeth, and Natalie, I know one thing that came up is people would love to hear, like, what's one product that you would recommend from your store? If you wanted to quickly put that in the chat as well, our attendees would greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, and thank you, Elizabeth, Joanne, and Natalie. That was awesome. I loved hearing those stories and your tips, like, about the omni-channel, so that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. And if anyone tuned in late, this session was recorded, so it will be added to the AC Hub On Demand website, so you can watch it right from the beginning. So now, as Bonnie mentioned, we do have some exciting stuff coming up. So I'm going to get Ryan to share his screen. We have 3 giveaways, so $75 to each of the 3 businesses. So we'll get started. We've added everyone's names into this wheel of names spinning thing. So first we're going to go with the Jojo CoCo Chocolate. So $75 gift card. And I will connect with each winner after the event by email. Awesome. Okay, so Jordan Blair. Okay. And then the next one, we have $75 to Partymart. Congratulations to Jordan. Julia Forte to Partymart. And then the Unrefined Olive, $75. Awesome. Congratulations, crew team. Okay, thank you so much, Ryan. So again, I'll reach out to the 3 winners by email. Congratulations to everyone. So now I know we only have a few minutes left, but I do just want to take a second to open it up to our attendees for the Community Soapbox. So if this is your first time joining Third Thursday, this is where we invite you to share something, maybe a passion project you're working on, or give a shout out to another local business, maybe in Kanata, or it could be anywhere in the city. So we just ask that you raise your virtual hand, and then we will unmute you and you'll have the floor to share something. To give it a shout out. So feel free to, you could just raise your hand at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll invite you to unmute yourself, and then you can share a business if you'd like. Otherwise, you can also just maybe send, like, you can add a link into the chat, and then we can check out the business that you'd like to highlight. Okay, so I don't see any hands, but I do, again, just want to mention our next event. So it's open up to the college community. So any students, employees, or alumni, we have Pausing with Plants, and that's brought to you by the Urban Botanist. So she was at the beginning of the event doing some spring cleaning. So the registration link will be added to the chat now if you're interested in joining that. And again, I'm not seeing any hands, so I think we'll just wrap it up. So again, I just want to say thank you so much to Bonnie for moderating the session, and to our 3 panelists, to the Kanata Central BIA for helping set this all up. It was so great to hear from all of you, and thank you to our attendees for joining today. If you are interested in any future upcoming events, we'll add the events link into the chat. So thanks everyone, and have a great afternoon.